All right, so Tyler and I, that being TJ and Tyler, right, of Ate Well, bringing the Well Life podcast at you. This is our second episode where it's just audio, right, bringing to you some health tips, tidbits on wellness, insight to our lives, our takes on different aspects of, right, how you can become a better version of yourself.
Yes, our in between what feels like outside the studio episodes. Want you kind of walking with us. Either last outside the studio episode, we were out doing a little hike. Now we're just taking a little walk around town, getting outside the gym.
Yep, so right in Huntington Village, if you guys are around the island and listening, right, give us a visit. Making sure we don't get hit by cars right now while we walk. But today we wanted to give you 8 points to improve your overall health and wellness. Yeah, so 8 points, right? Kind of the first,
And right before we kind of jump
specific.
into it, there could be more things that affect your health and wellness, but if you focus on these, this can kind of help you get a manage of your health and wellness and definitely improve your overall well-being.
Yeah, right. These are 8 points that we pretty much hold close to us and are looking to achieve kind of every day, and maybe something you guys can immediately change or look to improve for yourselves, right? So going into the first point, the biggest and most important point, I think, out of everything you can do physically and mentally is sleep. So sleeping 6 to 9 hours, right? When I say 6 to 9, I mean 6 to 9 full good hours, right? If you got to wake up to go to the bathroom or something once, that's cool, but trying to not have as restful sleep, right, and non-restless sleep as possible. So, right, a quality 6 hours, even quality 5 hours is going to be better than just laying in bed for 8 or 9 hours, right? It goes for everything. It's not about what you do, it's how you do it, right? Yeah. So 6 to 9 quality hours, this is going to allow your brain to retain information, your hormone levels to be optimal, right, and proper for daily life, your muscles to recover, right? Everything on the physical and mental, right, is going to be influenced by that sleep that we get.
This is exactly like a big conversation we have with people. It's just that the work that you do even in the gym isn't what's going to make you look better, right? You know, it's not going to be that you did more curls and now your arms look better. It's going to be how you recover that are going to make your muscles look better. And the key to that is going to be how much sleep you're getting and how well you're sleeping, right? How adequately you're actually sleeping. So the number one on the list is sleep, and I think it's the one thing that people definitely neglect.
Yeah, life gets in the way, but as long as you can manage it, to even take a quick 30-minute power nap if you get the chance, more is better, right, with sleep.
Number 2 on the list is move with intention every day. So we may have a goal to do 3 strength workouts a day. We want to do some cardio during the week. You may have some recovery days. You may want to hit some yoga, but whatever that movement is, you want to ensure you're moving with intention. So if it's going to be your strength days, have a plan for your 3 strength days, 3, 5, whatever those strength days are, have a plan for those strength days and go after them, go hit them, recover, right, with sleep. And then if the next day is going to be a cardio day, make sure that you're getting out and doing that cardio. It could be zone 2, right? It could be low, or if you're going out for a faster paced run, but whatever it is, you want to make sure it's intentional and fit to your goals for that day and for what your overall goals are.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say a few of those things, but you pretty much covered it, right? Moving every day, getting out for a walk, getting some sunshine, could be 5 days a week, 10 days a week, whatever, right? But going into my next point, it's going to be getting outside and moving and getting some sunlight, right? So the best thing you can do actually when you wake up in the morning is get some sunlight on your body, in your eyes, on your skin. That's going to wake you up hormonally, right? It's going to follow your hormone cycles to have an adequate day, to get started adequately first thing in the morning, right? But getting outside is so vital for the nature of us as animals on this planet, right? Getting that sun exposure, that vitamin D, getting that in is going to do so much for your, right, energy, your libido, meaning your sex drive, right, your hormone levels, your ability to function, think clearly, right, and even get to sleep at night. Yeah. So it all kind of comes full circle.
I was going to tie that back in immediately to point 1 is just getting some sunlight will actually impact your REM cycle so much more. It'll get you on the natural REM cycle that your body needs to have by you being able to get out and get some sunlight early in the day.
Yep.
Number 4 is going to be making sure that we have nutritious foods in our body every day. I think we have a subcategory here that's definitely true to us, and a message we always try to get out is definitely making sure that we're hitting our protein target every day. But first, from a nutrition standpoint, is just making sure that we're eating highly nutritious, dense foods predominantly. So 80% of our foods are coming from whole food sources. I like to always kind of simplify it and say it's like either something that died or something that grew in the ground or fell from a tree. Right? If that should make up 80% of the food that we're actually consuming every day, and then 20% may come from some of the things that you're going to have a little fun with. But underneath that, making sure we're having just good nutritious foods is going to be make sure you're hitting your protein target for that day. So if you are, and we'll stress it as just easy round numbers, is always just try to get 1 gram of protein or somewhere around that 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight if you're someone that's going to be exercising, working out, doing some strength training, so let that be your target as you recover and look to build a strong lean body.
Yep, couldn't have said it better myself. Whole foods, the most simplest 1 ingredient foods. If it died or grew from the ground, stick to that and you'll be good and well off. On to number 5, hydrate optimally, and your salt intake. So hydration, a lot of people think is just water intake, Drink. They have those bottles that have those measures on them of your first quarter of the day, you should be drinking that whole gallon throughout the day, with those measurements, or it started out with 8 cups a day, but it's you actually need much more water, but you can actually over drink water. So after you drink enough water, your water should have optimal electrolyte content, sodium and potassium content in it, That's how your muscles function. That's how your body absorbs water efficiently and retains water, actually. If you actually pee clearly all the time, it can almost be a negative thing because you're almost not fully mineralized, or full of electrolytes that are going to lead to muscle functionality, Your nerves literally fire on electricity. That's how your muscles contract. If you're not having an adequate amount of electrolytes, salting your foods with, I'm not saying ramen noodles, and having 1,400 milligrams of sodium in a crappy bowl of ramen noodles. I'm saying good pink salt or sea salt, Good sources, high sodium sources, especially if you're working out and moving every day. You're going to need this, and this is going to function, If you ever have muscle cramps, wake up having muscle cramps, you're probably not drinking adequate water with minerals in it before you go to bed or throughout the day, And that's a huge component of performance and a huge component of living optimally. Your brain needs these minerals to function and the water to function.
Yeah,
so
really, really good point there. I think for me personally, I try to do 2 things to ensure that I'm hydrated and replacing electrolytes. First, every day I wake up, probably my biggest habit is first thing I do right after maybe going to the bathroom is going to be having a glass of water, somewhere 8 to 12 ounces. That happens every single day just to kind of get ahead of hydration.
Yep.
And then I'll have some sort of electrolyte drink at some point during that day, That's going to consist of sodium and potassium for sure.
Yeah, and this is before coffee, America runs on coffee, Getting up, having a cup and then a second cup, but delaying that and getting some water in your system before, and prioritizing that is going to be huge in your hydration for the day.
Perfect. Point number 6 is going to be practice some sort of mental health prioritization every day. So give yourself an opportunity to step back and practice some sort of mental health practice. So this could be some sort of meditation, some practice of gratitude, 5 minutes of breath work, just stepping outside of your daily grind, giving yourself an opportunity to clear your mind, and get into a better mental space.
Yeah, Even writing things down, being in the moment as often as possible, being conscious of what you're doing. And people always talk about, meditate, meditation, it's detaching or it's closing your eyes and whatever. It's what really is that for you? It could just be in anything. It's being conscious of achieving exactly what you're doing at the moment, and not letting all the stresses compile in your mind and get to you, and sort through that, Check in with yourself, talk to yourself, make sure that you're good, because you could be better for the people in your life if you're good, or if you're good more often,
That's a really good point. I think one thing I've learned best from listening to some meditation specialists speak is not that meditation needs to be this clearly separating yourself from any thought in your head, because that's very hard. We have a lot of things running through our minds, but even just the practice of trying to separate yourself back to your breath or back to some sort of count that you're having in your head, even just that conscious separation from the free flow thoughts that are happening in your head is mental health practice right there.
Yep.
And it doesn't need to be for 30 minutes, right? This could be 5 minutes of practice a day that you'll reap benefits from.
Yeah, huge. All right, on to number 7 is, right, everyone likes to go out, drink, eat those desserts, whatnot, but number 7 is limit sugar and alcohol, right? And this can be a personal thing. Some people like to completely cut that out. Some people like to enjoy it, but it's limiting it, right? So simple sugars are going to be very, very quickly absorbed by the body, especially if you intake them on an empty stomach, right? That can lead to different bacterial growth in your gut and lead to different insulin spikes and energy kind of highs and pitfalls, and just is not nutrient dense at all. Anything pretty much simply sugar based is not going to be as nutrient dense, so it's a pretty low quality form of a carbohydrate typically, right? Unless you're just performing and you need sugar in your system. But between that and alcohol, right? Alcohol is a toxin. Trying to stay away from anything that physically poisons your body or your state. That's why you get drunk. It's because it's impairing, right, your liver and your kidneys to do the job. It starts to get into your system and it limits you, right? That's why you have a hangover. Yeah. So limiting this, obviously Tyler and I live our lifestyles, we have our own preferences, one way of doing things just like you and everyone else does, but it's just being conscious of that as much as possible and not being so pressurized maybe to do these things or have that 3rd, 4th, 5th drink, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because we stress a lot in our talks about just balance, and you want to have balance, but right, to what extent? So it's nice to enjoy a couple drinks. There's social wellness kind of tied into there. There's even the biggest study that always talks about, a glass of wine a day has increased longevity in people. But what they saw was if that glass of wine turned to 2 or a bottle, that the benefits of that completely go away, right? Yep. So there is some social wellness to maybe having a glass, maybe having a drink with some friends, enjoying some time with family. But once that's taken to become too much, there's purely only negative benefits.
Yeah, I actually had a roommate in college, senior year. He was a competitive powerlifter, got injured, into fitness and health, he got crazy lean, he was in really good shape, but he loved IPA beers. He loved those craft
I also love
beers, right?
IPA.
Yeah, so he actually, I was kind of never really a drinker, rarely had a drink, and I just didn't enjoy it. But for him, he was like, actually me having a beer, and I've read some stuff on it, he's like, I feel better being able to relax at the end of the day. He almost feels more stressed not being able to enjoy a 12-ounce beer.
Too,
right. So he was like, actually, I feel like the benefits of me having the beer, and some other people have talked about it too. I think there was studies on it he had brought up. I don't have them offhand, but right, talking about that, that it was more beneficial for him to almost wind down after a long day of work and chill out and enjoy the beer, not overdoing it, but that almost did more for him, right, than completely cutting it out and being hardcore on himself for that, right?
So, and all that is probably within the same realm of just knowing how much you're putting in your body. He knows if he had 6 of them, he's not going to feel good, but 1 allowed him to wind down and kind of feel good at the end of the day.
Yep.
Love that.
Cool.
Last point we got for you is plan ahead. Really big one, and I think this is one that we kind of even started our podcast out with, just talking about how do you have a plan for your health and wellness. So at the very top level, when we're talking about planning, is thinking about your health and wellness and how you can optimize yourself, what kind of things that you enjoy to do from a movement standpoint, from a nutrition standpoint. Have a plan for those things and continue to check in. And then when you get down to the really minute parts of it, it's, okay, this weekend, me, my wife, my 2 kids, I know we're gonna go out east. It's what options for food do I have for the kids, do I have for myself to have a snack instead of trying to get something that's going to be maybe not as good for us while we're on the way out, right? Just planning kind of at each level in order to ensure that you're successful in your health and wellness feats.
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine actually that would make fun of, like, oh, you always got your water bottle on you, all right? He would always, if I came over, he'd offer me a water bottle or something. Talking about Jesse actually.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't need a water for the trip or whatever. Driving to a Mets game for an hour and a half, right? I'm like, nah, I got it because I know that I'll be thirsty. But it can be as simple as that, right? Planning ahead of like, I should make the stop at 7-Eleven to get a water. to drive somewhere, right? Just to have that in my system.
Yeah.
Right? Being dehydrated can cause you to crave more things even too and want maybe saltier foods or things like that. So simple things like that, bringing water, right? Packing the beef jerky on the road trip to get some protein in, knowing that you'll bring resistance bands to get a quick little workout in or whatever, whatever that is.
No, it's all important because, and it all makes sense. So if we're thinking about, oh, this weekend I'm going to go out with my friends, okay, how did you properly set yourself up from a sleep standpoint, from a hydration standpoint? What'd you eat? Did you move? So that when you go out on Saturday night, right, you put your body in the best place in order to be able to have a couple drinks, right? Be able to have maybe not the best food. And then knowing that you're going to be able to sleep in the next day because you didn't plan something early.
Yeah.
Right? It's all about kind of planning in order to ensure that you have success in the end.
Right, it's the long haul. It's not it's the everyday little things that make a change, but not getting so stressed about being so perfect, but being better every day at managing, right, and going through these checklists.
Yeah,
maybe you hit 6 out of 8 or whatever that looks like, but it's like
But when
managing.
you start to do these things, they become part of your habits, right? Part of your process. So it's not that you're trying to do these things, right? Because you're trying to hit these things, but hopefully then you just become a person that's trying to improve their overall well-being. So I do these things. So I sleep well. So I hydrate. So I eat nutritious foods, right? These are just a part of my life.
So once again, right, on a little walk and talk right now, these were your 8 points to improve your health and wellness, right? Some things you could change today. Take some of the personal little tips we have maybe and apply them. Hopefully it helps. Remember, so number 1, we have sleep 6 to 9 hours. We have move with intention every day. We have get outside and get sunlight. We have eat nutritious foods and hit your protein target, right? High protein, higher typically the better, just because it's something you're lacking most likely. We have hydrate optimally, right? Intake some of that salt, conscious mental health prioritization, right? Check in with yourself, limit your sugar and alcohol intake, and plan ahead.
That's it. Thank you guys for joining us today on the Well Life Podcast. Remember to like, share, subscribe to the podcast, and you can listen to it on any of your podcast platforms. So that's going to be Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes,
YouTube
as well. Thank you guys for joining today.
All right, thanks guys.